The main card presents episode number 14 of this wrestling show. My name is Seda, the Chosen King, and usually, whenever a huge pay-per-view happens or a pay-per-view of any kind happens, you might want to sit down and review the pay-per-view, but I don't like necessarily reviewing pay-per-views. For some reason I just don't get really much of a kick out of that as much as most people do. But I do want to look back on it and just I'll say one thing to the WWE. They really, really did their best to make sure that the fans watching in the arena and the fans watching around the United States of America and the fans watching around the world, they really did make sure that we had something to look forward to and something to go home with, if I can put it that way, for those who are there, and then something to also and say, what, we actually watched a really well put together pay-per-view. They really did their best to make sure that they put on a great show, despite the circumstances that they were faced with before their pay-per-view itself, given the fact that Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns were not going to be able to perform during the pay-per-view. They did their absolute best to make sure that they put on an amazing show. And they did. Barring the fact that a lot of people, when you're watching the pay-per-view, you got that sense people just didn't want to see the other matches happening. They just wanted to get to AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, as well as the main event, which featured The Shield and Kurt Angle facing The Miz, Cesaro, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Kane. I, for one, as a fan who likes to watch the entire thing, and I don't like to be that guy, but I, for one, really, really appreciated the effort that every single superstar, every single wrestler, every single entertainer, every single sports entertainer, every single superstar who was on that show. I literally appreciated. Let me say appreciated, but let me just speak in the present and say I literally appreciate the effort that every single individual put into that pay-per-view to make sure that it was a success. It was a very difficult thing to have been faced with, and I'm assuming, as a fan. But as a fan myself, speaking for myself, I honestly appreciate everything that was done by the superstars to make sure that show went off the way it did. Special shout out has to go to AJ Styles and Finn Balor, where you have to go into a match with absolutely no storyline whatsoever, and you just go in there as two individuals, and the crowd absolutely loves it. Because I think every single blog and website that I've read so far, they've literally rated that match as the best match of the night. And I, as a fan who was watching, I can understand why, because it really was a match, to look forward to. It really was a match that lived up to the hype. And the Too Sweet at the very end of it all, I think, was an iconic image. And though people are assuming that, the two of them did that because of the entire drama of the Bullet Club and the WWE that's going on, it was a very nice treat to see AJ Styles, saying to a fan online that no, it wasn't because of that. Those two guys just did it there as I think it was a showing of respect between the two of them, because they're not going to forget where they came from, referring to, of course, the Bullet Club in New Japan. So honestly, I really, really enjoyed that match, and I really enjoyed the pay-per-view. And it was, for me, I got excited mostly when Asuka came out, because my friends know that I was looking forward to Asuka debuting the most out of that entire pay-per-view. And though I wanted her to be the main event, she ended up being the one who starts the show with Emma. I think it's called a curtain jerk. A curtain jerker, I'm not sure. But yeah, I was excited. As soon as Emma was coming out, I knew, okay, so it's the match with Emma and Asuka. And I think when you look at that match, people were expecting Emma to be run over and squashed by Asuka, rightfully so. People were expecting that, but that match was able to do something which, what I've not seen, but from what I've heard on interviews by superstars, it's very hard to do, and that's make both superstars look good. And that match did well for Asuka, that match did well for Emma, as did the rematch on Monday Night Raw the following night, which was earlier this morning over here. So I'm going to wrap up the TLC by saying that, I think we as fans should be appreciative of what all those guys did and what all those guys and women did to put together that show. Sasha Banks and Alicia Fox, Emma and Asuka, the entire cruiserweight division, which also includes the champion champions now, because Kalisto was the champion and Enzo Amore is now the champion. You get Rich Swann, you get Cedric Alexander, you get Brian Kendrick. Sorry. You get Brian Kendrick, as well as you have Gentleman Jack Gallagher. You also have the women's champion Alexa Bliss, Mickie James. You have AJ Styles. You have Finn Balor. When you have all those guys, you have The Shield, you have The Bar, you have The Miz, you have Kane, you have Braun Strowman. Everyone did their best to make sure the pay-per-view was good. Elias, Jason Jordan, they did their best. So we can be thankful that we should be thankful that those guys did the best they could to make sure that pay-per-view went off without a hitch.